Today's our guest speaker is an excellent scientist and a researcher with over 9 years of experience in field of biotechnology, microbiology, and environmental science. She holds a doctoral of the philosophy from the SGP Amravati University, currently serving as an assistant professor at the Dr. D.Y. Patley Biotechnology and Bioinformatics Institute in Pune. This scientist, under her doctoral research, focused on productions of the eco-friendly biosurfactants using low-cost substrate and their applications of the pesticides degradations in soil. Furthermore, she had made a notable contribution to the scientific community through her publication in journals such as Bioresources Technology and Journal of the Immigrations, Technologies and Innovative Research. Also, his dedications to the educations and research continue to be inspiring students and contributing to the advancements of the biotechnology and the microbiology. So, like, while we are talking about the academic platforms of Ecoastronomy ING, she had been contributed to the many of our activities since last 4 years. So today she is going to be talking about beyond the Earth, habitable zone, space biotechnology, and the future life of in the universe. So, with that being said, I would like to invite one of the glorious scientists, Dr. Latika Shendre, to address the question INC Asteroid. Dr. Latika, it's your
Yes,
time. You can get started.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. My name is Dr. Latika, and we are dealing with the biotechnology aspect in space. Okay. So, our main focus will be how biotechnology can play significant role in the space. Okay. Our main title is Beyond Earth. Then we will cover habitable zones, space biotechnology, and the future of life in the universe. This will be our whole topic. Okay. So, there are some curiosity questions that we should think. So, first question is, are we alone in the universe? What you think? Are we really alone in the universe? And second main question is, what's the role of space exploration in advancing human knowledge and technology? See, whatever we do, we actually do for our own purpose, for our own benefits. So why there is need of space exploration? That is the basic question we should deal with. So here we are going to understand the planetary habitability. Now, what is habitat? Habitat means the area where we survive or where we live, and its implications for Earth. Now, if we are talking about the universe, so what is the role of other planets and their habitat with respect to Earth that we are going to study? So, the basic question is, why study life beyond Earth? What is the need for that? So, first point raised is whether we are alone in the universe, and it expands our knowledge of how life originates and thrives in extreme environment. The first question, you must have listened or viewed the concept of alien life. So, where this question arises, what is the universe? Are we alone in the universe, or there are some aliens that are present in the universe that we have to study? Second, exploring habitable zones, exoplanets, and the potential for extraterrestrial microbes deepens our understanding of life's adaptability and inform the search for biosignatures. Now, what are biosignatures? That I am going to tell you. Biosignatures means there are certain chemicals, there are certain compounds that are present, and because of those biosignature compounds, we are living. So, we have to do the study about the habitable zones. Habitat is very important for our survival. Exoplanets are very important. At the same time, life's adaptability. What is life's adaptability? It means how we are going to adapt ourselves in the new environment. Third point arises, our survival in space. And this knowledge also improve the life on Earth through innovations in medicine, agriculture, resource utilization. Like I already explained, we are doing all such things just for our benefit. Human is that much selfish. Okay, so what we are going to study is just for our benefits. Now how our survival can enhance, our lifestyle can enhance, can improve, that is very important during all this study. And last point is, ultimately, the search of extraterrestrial life fuels curiosity, inspires scientific breakthrough. This all information is very important, and on the basis of this information, we can go ahead with positive approach. Now, first topic deals with habitable zones. Habitable zone, that is edges, also known as Goldilocks zone. Now, what is this zone or what is this region? It is the region around the star where conditions are just right for liquid water to exist on a planet's surface. That means our conditions that are present on the earth, that should match in the XZ. XZ, it means habitable zone. So in the habitable zone or Goldilocks zone, region around the star where conditions are just right for liquid water. Water is the basic parameters that that is essential for our survival. Then this zone is very important as water plays a significant role. Our each and every cell consists of near about 90 to 95% of water, and without water we cannot survive, that we all know. So water will be the basic criteria, basic biosignature compound that must be present for the survival. Now habitable zone vary, and that depend on the star type and star size. At the same time, atmospheric composition. Atmospheric composition is very important. If atmosphere is suitable for human survival or cell survival, then we can easily evolve, we can easily develop ourselves. Okay, now again I am repeating, habitable zone means kya? It means Goldilocks zone. Goldilocks zone means it is the region around a star where there will be very suitable condition, and the basic parameter, basic biosignature molecule will be liquid water. That liquid water is very important, and it plays a significant role or fundamental role in the biological processes. Our whole life, each and every cell consists of 90 to 95% of water. Now, if you deal with habitable zone, there are 4 types of habitable zone. One is conservative, another is optimistic, then circumstellar, and fourth one is galactic habitable zone. Now, what is conservative habitable zone? It is the narrow region, not that much wide. Narrow region where liquid water is most likely to exist based on the Earth's condition. Like our Earth, there must be same water contained. Second is optimistic habitable zone, a broader range. First one was narrow region, second is broader range that include planet that could potentially support life with greenhouse effect or subsurface water. Water should be present in every type. Water is the basic compound, basic biosignature compound. Third is circumstellar, that means the habitable zone around a single star like our sun. And fourth one is galactic. Now what is galactic? So the region within a galaxy. Galactic is related, resembling with the galaxy, where conditions are favorable for planetary system formation, and it support the environment. That should support the environment, that should make the environment stable. So these are the 4 types of habitable zones. Now, if we're talking about habitability, what are the factors that affect the habitability? That means this water or this temperature, how it affects the habitability. So first factor is distance from the star. It determines the temperature and water stability. Second, planetary atmosphere. There are certain gases known as greenhouse gases, And these greenhouse gases are responsible to raise the temperature. Greenhouse gases, these are carbon dioxide, then water is there, then methane is there, CFC, that is chlorofluorocarbon, that is also greenhouse gas, and that is also responsible to maintain the habitability. Third one is stellar type and activity, like stars that have closer habitable zone but are prone to solar flares, that are very close to sun. And last is planetary, that means planet's magnetic field. And geochemical cycles, those geochemical cycles, volcanism, high temperature, that also affect the habitability. Now, habitable zone. Again, habitable, this is the revision what we have studied till now. Definition, what is definition of habitable zone? It is first, it is also known as Goldilocks zone. That condition should be suitable for the cell's survival. That means that should not be too hot, not be too cold. Factors influencing habitability, first is there must be liquid water. Water always should be present in the liquid form with suitable temperature. Second is atmospheric composition. For our survival, whole atmosphere plays a significant or fundamental role. So atmosphere is very important criteria. Energy sources, sunlight is there. We all are dependent on the plants, and plants are autotrophic. Autotrophic means those they can synthesize their own food. So sunlight is there, geothermal cycles are there, and magnetic field and radiation protection. Like UV rays are there, UV rays that are absorbed by the ozone. So our earth is protected by the ozone layer. So these all parameters are very important for the survival in any planet. Now, two topics are very important. One is exoplanet discoveries. So we will continue with this exoplanet discoveries. Now, what are exoplanet discoveries? So it is the identification of planet beyond our solar system, and that will provide the planetary system. Which are the planets that are present beyond our solar system and their potential, they are having ability for the extraterrestrial life. Now NASA is doing some research, and there are certain technologies that NASA has developed. First is Kepler Space Telescope. Second is TESS, that is TESS, Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite. And third is James Webb Space Telescope, JWST. So these technologies are very essential to study the planets that are beyond our solar system. So NASA's Kepler Space Telescope revolutionized this field by detecting thousands of exoplanets using the transit method, revealing vast diversity of world, including Earth-like planets in habitable zone. Habitable zone are there that are beyond our solar system, and they are having suitable conditions that can for sure develop a cell, that can sure evolve a cell, that may be into very innovative research. Second is TESS. TESS is nothing but Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite. Now, this expanded the first research by monitoring the brighter and closer stars. They usually focus on the brighter and closer stars and helping identify planets for detailed study. So first was the Kepler Space Telescope that was focusing on the diversity of world, how Earth-like planets are present in the habitable zone. And what is habitable zone? It is the condition where water must be present in the liquid form. Atmospheric conditions should be suitable for the survival. And third is JWST, that is James Webb Space Telescope. It has taken exoplanet research further. So one by one, this research evolved. And in the JWST, it analyzes the atmosphere. It detects the water-like molecule, carbon dioxide-like molecule, and it search for the habitat that is suitable for the humans. Now, first topic we had completed, that was habitable zone. Okay, so second topic if you are talking about is the role of biotechnology in space, that is nothing but space biotechnology. So we will start with our next subtopic, that is space biotechnology. What is space biotechnology? So it is nothing but, name itself indicate, it is the application of biotechnology, that means application of biological science and biotechnological techniques that will support the space exploration, human space flight, and extraterrestrial colonization. So what is space biotechnology? It is nothing but, we have to apply the biological science, we have to apply the biotechnological aspect in the space, we have to support and enhance the space exploration, we have to enhance the human space flight experiences, we have to support the extraterrestrial colonization. This is the first point. Second point, now space biotechnology focuses on utilizing biological system. We are utilizing our own system. We are utilizing genetic engineering. What is genetic engineering? Here we are going to modify the gene. We are genetically evolving. We are genetically developing the strain. Synthetic biology and biomanufacturing, and these all aspect is important for the food production, waste recycling, medical advancement, and to support the life in space. Whenever astronauts visit the space, we have to use biotechnology for their survival, for their food production, for the waste they are creating there, and we have to recycle that waste. And this space biotechnology field is very important for long duration space missions, and they will help in the sustainable living beyond Earth, while also driving innovation that benefit life on our planet. We are doing all these things for our own benefit, so our planet should get benefit during whole this space biotechnological approach. Now, this was all about the space biotechnology. We will now study the applications of space biotechnology in space exploration. If we are talking about exploration of space, so there are certain parameters. Like first is BLUS. BLUS means bioregenerative life support system. Now, in this application, we will use the microorganism. What are microorganisms? Those that cannot be seen by our naked eyes. And all microorganisms are not harmful. Some microorganisms are useful to us. And we will use this microorganism, we will use this plant to recycle the air, water, and waste, so that these all things will should not affect the astronaut. So first is bioregenerative life support system, and in this support system we are going to use microorganism and plant to recycle the air, to recycle the water, to recycle the waste, and that will help in self-sustaining habitat for astronaut. Second is space agriculture. Now, what about the food astronauts are going to consume there? So we should help them with the help of biotechnology. Biotechnology will synthesize some food that are genetically modified. And there are two systems for this. One is hydroponic system and another is aeroponic system. So you just remember this term, hydroponic and aeroponic. We will study later. Because in space, we cannot cultivate land. We cannot use field. So how we can synthesize our own food? By these two methods, hydroponic and aeroponic system, we are going to develop our own crop. We are going to synthesize our own products, our own plants. Okay. Now, third is biomanufacturing. So In this concept, we are using microorganism, and this microorganism will produce pharmaceutical product, will produce biomaterial, will produce food in the space, because we cannot take a huge quantity of food, we cannot take huge quantity of medicine there. So what we will do, we will use these microorganism, and they will synthesize these all useful thing in the space. So 3 aspects completed. Now, fourth is microbial research. Studying space induced microbial adaptation. So we all know that in space and on Earth, conditions are completely different. What we should do? We should do some research with the help of biotechnology that will help microorganism to develop better vaccines, better antibiotics, and that will ultimately help to understand the disease mechanism. We all have taken vaccines. Whenever we get ill, whenever we feel restless, we used to take antibiotics. In the fever, you used to take antibiotic. What are these antibiotics? One organism suppresses the other. What is this vaccine? Vaccine means it will create some antibodies that will help to fight the disease. So this all research is the part of space biotechnology. Fourth, next is human health and medicine. Development of space adapted drugs. Now, whenever astronauts used to go to the space, they used to take such medicines like space adapted drugs, tissue engineering. What is tissue engineering? In this field, we used to alter the tissue mechanism. What is tissue? Tissue is a group of cell. So we will manipulate our tissues, we will manipulate group of cell to work accordingly, and astronaut will treat with the space biotechnological approach. Next is astrobiology and life detection. Whenever we deal with extreme environment in space, it is very important to study the extraterrestrial life and guide the planetary protection efforts. So we should know what is astrobiology. We should know how astronaut can survive in the space. So this aspect will also be the part of space biotechnology. Okay. Now, space biotechnology supporting life beyond Earth. Life in biotechnological aspect, on the Earth we are having all the suitable condition where we can get protection. But what about space? There we don't know what exact conditions are. At that time, biotechnology help astronaut to focus on their work and to help them for their growth and development. So space biotechnology, it involves biotechnology in space exploration. I asked you to remember two terms. One was hydroponics and another was aeroponics. So in space we can grow food like with the help of hydroponics, with the help of aeroponics, with the help of genetically modified plant. Then microbial applications are there like waste recycling. Whatever waste is generated on the space by our astronauts, how they can recycle that waste and how useful product can be recovered. Next is oxygen production. How oxygen can be produced in the space, that is also part of space biotechnology. And synthetic biology for self-sustaining colonies. Synthetic biology, that means we have to develop our own cell for the self-survival. Second is medical biotechnology for space missions. Now, we are knowing microgravity concept. How microgravity, microgravity where body cannot support, one second, And you must have seen in the videos in the YouTube channel that how astronauts float on the in the air, and they cannot stand themselves. That is just because of this microgravity. So how it can affect the human health, how microgravity is responsible for altering our cell. Second is tissue engineering, how our tissues get manipulated. Gene editing, there is one gene known as CRISPR, and that CRISPR gene is very helpful for the radiation resistance, and astronaut used to get treated with this CRISPR gene. Third is biomanufacturing in microgravity, when there is very less gravitational force, how we can produce our pharmaceutical product means medicinal products. 3D bioprinting, how we can take a print of our organ and tissues. That is also a good aspect of space biotechnology. This was the second part. So first part was, what was the first part? That was habitable zone. Got it? Second part was, that was space biotechnology. And now we will start with third part. Okay. So third part we are dealing with is the extremophiles on Earth, life in harsh condition. Now, if we deal with this term, extremophiles means extreme condition, extreme temperature, extreme high temperature, extreme low temperature. So, organism that thrive in extreme environment, organism that survive in extreme condition. So, what are extremophiles? Extremophiles are organisms that survive in extreme environment. Now, what is extreme environment? That may be extreme radiation, that may be extreme temperature, that may be extreme salt concentration, that is high salinity, that may be extreme acidic condition, that may be extreme alkaline condition. So, what are extremophiles? Extremophiles are the microorganism that survive in extreme condition. Extreme condition means high radiation, high temperature, high salt, high acid, high alkaline condition. These are all the extreme condition. Got it? These are extremophiles. Now, this extreme condition are also present in the space, and this is observed during the research that is done in astrobiology and space exploration. So extreme conditions are present on Earth, extreme conditions are present beyond the Earth. So there are some types of extremophile. Here one is thermophile. Thermo term itself indicate thermo must be related with the temperature. So heat loving organisms are there that survive in extreme temperature. That means near about 150 degrees Celsius, where we cannot survive, but these organisms are very suitable. Second is sacrophiles. Sacrophiles are cold loving organism, extreme low temperature. An example is Antarctic microbes. Then there are halophils. Halophils are salt loving. They love salinity. Salinity means salt, NaCl. Then there are some organisms that are acidophile and alkaliphils. Alkaline condition, that means pH extreme. Then radiation resistant. They can survive in UV rays as well. They can survive in X-rays as well. So example is Deinococcus radiodurans. This is the name of microorganism. So again I am repeating, we have completed with two topics. One was habitable zone and another was space biotechnology. Now we have started our third topic, that is extremophile. Extremophils means organism that can survive in extreme condition. And there are certain type like thermophils is there. Thermophile, temperature, high temperature. Sacrophile, low temperature, lowest temperature. You can imagine ice. Halophils, salt loving. Acidophile and alkaliphiles, pH extreme, and radiation resistant. That means in any rays. Now, this was the third topic. Now, first subtopic we are going to start is the microorganism in space. Like we all know, 1 tablespoon of soil consists of millions of microorganisms, and microorganisms are present everywhere. In the soil, in the water, in the air, they are present everywhere. And microorganisms are of two types. One is beneficial and another is harmful. Then their behavior changes in space. Their behavior is different on Earth and beyond Earth. Same microorganism will act different in the space. Same microorganism will act different on the Earth. So we will start with role of microbes in space mission. We have studied microbes. Microorganisms are present in space. Okay, how they can affect the space missions. First is human health and microbial monitoring. This is very interesting topic. Okay, microbes from astronaut skin, respiratory tract, and gut. Gut is nothing but our digestive system, you can imagine. Contribute to the microbiome of space habitat. Now, whenever scientists used to visit the space, before going, they are having certain tests like microorganism that is present on their skin, that is present in the respiratory system, that is present in the gut. So gut is the part of our digestive system. So these microorganisms, they are completely different in this space. Like there are two microorganisms, pathogenic microorganisms. Now what are pathogenic microorganisms? They cause diseases, disease causing microorganism. So it has been seen that Staphylococcus aureus and Pseudomonas aeruginosa, these are the name of microorganism. Okay, these two microorganisms, they cause infection due to altered immune responses in space. You must have heard the term immunity. Immunity means our immune system, how we can fight. So same microorganism, they can work in different way on the earth, and they can change the immune system. They can cause infection in the space. And NASA usually regularly monitor this microbial population aboard the ISS. What is ISS? International Space Station, to prevent the outbreaks. Usually they monitor how these microorganisms are changing their behavior. Second is biofilm formation. Now if you talk about biofilm formation and corrosion, some microorganisms like Pseudomonas, Bacillus, these two are the names of microorganisms. They can form a layer on the space station surface. International Space Station, their surface is coated by this organism, and they can affect the equipment that are present in International Space Station, and that can alter the air quality. Some biofilms, they can cause corrosion. Corrosion means they can degrade the space station surfaces. So this is the second point. Third is biotechnology application. Microorganism can help to produce the oxygen. In space, we are not sure how we can get oxygen, how we can get purified form of oxygen. So usually these microorganisms, they will produce food, they will produce oxygen, they will produce medicine. And they are very helpful in the extraction of metals, and thus biotechnology is very important in the space. And last is astrobiology and planetary protection. Now these microbes are very helpful, and they usually protect or prevent the contamination. So earth originating microbes, they are helpful to prepare the food. They are helpful for the medicine synthesis. Now, here are some case studies, or we can say experiment with bacteria on the ISS. What ISS stand for? International Space Station. So, here are some experiments. 4 experiments I have mentioned. Okay. Experiments with bacteria on the ISS. ISS stand for International Space Station. Okay. So, first, we are seeing microorganism that can be helpful or that can be harmful in the space. First is microgravity effect on bacteria. One bacteria named as Salmonella typhimurium. This is the name of bacteria. And it is observed that on Earth, this microorganism was not that much harmful, but in space it showed virulence. Got it? That indicate in the microgravity. Microgravity means that is the condition where people or object appear to be weightless. And microgravity affect the gene. This microorganism just increase the virulence in space. After that, Escherichia coli. This is also the name of bacteria, microorganism. And this microorganism was tested for antibiotic resistance, showing reduced susceptibility to common antibiotics. Now, these two bacteria, microgravity is the condition where we appear to be weightless. And in microgravity, these bacteria just change their behavior. So bacteria can change their behavior in the space. Second is biofilm growth studies. Microbial experiments have been taken. What is biofilm? It is the layer that is caused with the help of microorganism. This is the simple concept of biofilm. Okay. What is biofilm? It is the layer. Film means layer. Bio means because of biological compound, microorganism. And now some organism that were completely showing different behavior in the space with respect to microgravity. So because of microgravity, there was formation of biofilm in the International Space Station. Third is biomining and resource extraction. Now, two studies have been performed. One was BioRock and another was bioasteroid experiment. BioRock experiment and bioasteroid experiment. And during this experiment, it was investigated that microorganism extract mineral from rocks under microgravity and Martian gravity condition. That means some microorganism like Spingomonas desicabilis. This is the name of microorganism. And it is very interesting. This microorganism never showed biomining. Biomining means extraction of mineral. But in the microgravity means where the organism, where the object feel weightless. In that condition, this condition is usually in the space. So in space, this microorganism was extracting mineral from the rock, and this is very beneficial for us in case in future this mineral concept is going to in the execution phase. So in that case, we can use these space minerals. And last is extremophils. Expore R2 mission was done, and it was observed that there are certain organisms that can work in the space vacuum radiation and that can survive there as well. Now, there is one term that is extraterrestrial biosignature. What are biosignature? As I mentioned earlier, it is the chemical, it is the atmospheric compound, it is the molecular compound that is present. And how we can detect alien life? So we can detect alien life with the help of spectroscopy, with the help of sample that is going to that is going to be studied during the return mission. And there are some biosensors. This biosensor will identify some chemical, they can identify certain atmospheric compounds, and they can detect the presence. Then, as I told you, you have to remember two terms. One was hydroponic and another was aeroponic. Now we will focus on biotechnological aspect, how biotechnology is helpful in growing food in space. Astronaut will never carry large huge amount of food in space. They will synthesize their own food with the help of these two techniques. One is hydroponics and another is aeroponic. Now these two terms are there and definition is there. In both the cases, we are going to use certain nutrients. Usually, how we make our own food, how we use agricultural concept with the help of soil. But in the space, we will not carry this soil. We will use some soil-free method. So hydroponics and aeroponics, these are the two methods where we are going to cultivate, we are going to grow the plant without soil. There will be no use of soil for the food preparation. How it is possible? First term is hydroponic. It is the soil-free method where plants are grown in a nutrient-rich water solution. We are going to use water solution, no soil at all. And whatever nutrients are present in soil, we will add this nutrient in the water. And after that, we will grow our plant. So it will be a soil-free method. We are not using soil at all. What we are going to do in the hydroponics? Hydro means water. We are going to use water. In water, we are going to add the nutrients. These all nutrients are present in soil and they will help in the plant synthesis. Second is aeroponics. Name itself indicate aero. Aero means air. So plant, here also we are not going to use soil. What we are dealing with, we will suspend roots in the air. And in the air, whatever nutrients are there, these roots they will absorb these nutrients from the air. And this method require less water. I am not saying no water. In aeroponics as well, water is required, but less water. So it is beneficial as compared to hydroponics. Got it? So two terms are there, hydroponics and aeroponics. And biotechnology, without biotechnology, we cannot do these things. Biotechnology is the only field where we can support this hydroponic and aeroponic concept. In both the concept, there is no soil at all. Hydroponics, water injected with the essential nutrient. Aeroponic, water is needed but in less quantity. Got it? Just go through it. It is very interesting. Okay? Now, see how beautifully these space travelers work. This is hydroponic and second is aeroponic. How these roots will absorb the nutrients. This is the aeroponic farming. And both are soilless farming technologies. Got it? Okay. Here I would like to add one small topic, that is NASA's veggie. NASA have developed and have conducted experiment in the ISS, that is International Space Station, that was vegetable production system, and they have studied how plant growth is going to perform in the microgravity. So in space there is no sunlight, there is no essential things, so use of LED lighting and pillow based root system is going to help to grow the crop like lettuce, radishes and zinnias. Lettuce, radishes and zinnias are the plant. NASA performed the experiment in the International Space Station, and they have grown this crop with the help of LED lighting. And the project has successfully demonstrated that fresh produce can be grown in space. There is no need to carry all the food stuff. Astronaut can cultivate their own food there, and they can improve the nutrition, and as they get fresh fruit, that will affect their psychology as well. So it is psychological beneficial aspect as well. So this is the NASA's veggie project. Okay, so they have developed their own vegetable with the help of LED lighting. Now next topic is space medicine. We're talking about biotechnology and how microgravity. Now what is microgravity? I repeatedly told you microgravity means where we feel weightless. That is the microgravity. Okay, so two important topics are there. One is microgravity, how it affect the human body, and second is biotechnological advancement in health monitoring. So microgravity experienced in space environment like International Space Station has several effects on the human body. These are the effects. One is musculoskeletal system. Now astronauts, they do not use muscles, so their muscles get weakened, they get shrunken, bone density changes. There have some research or some experiments have performed, and it is observed that there was the loss in the bone density due to lack of minerals, due to lack of nutrients, and the condition is known as osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is nothing but loss in the bone density. So this topic deals with how microgravity affect the human body. First is it affect the musculoskeletal. Musculoskeletal involve two terms, muscle and bone. Skeletal means bone. Second is sorry. Second is cardiovascular system. Cardio is related with the heart. So fluid redistribution and orthostatic intolerance have been observed. Third is immune system. In the microgravity, our immune system just weaken. Astronaut cannot fight with the infection. Their immune responses just slow down. Then fourth is neurological effect. That is also involved space motion sickness. So it is all related with the ear function, vestibular function, it is also known as, and because of this it causes the nausea or dizziness, weakness, and changes in the brain structure. In the brain there is one fluid that is called as CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, and because of this it affects the cognitive and motor function. Cognitive and motor function is related with the responses, how we respond to the situation. So in microgravity it can also get affected. At the same time, because of microgravity, vision and eye health can get affected. So there might be vision changes in the astronaut as they face the microgravity. And last one is psychological and behavioral effect. There are some sleep disruptions, stress and isolation, and because of this, astronauts they may face some behavioral changes, some psychological aspects. Now, next and last topic is biotechnological advancement in health monitoring. Biotechnology is very important in the health monitoring. It check the health of astronauts. So here are some technique. One is wearable health technology. Wearable means you can wear it, like smart watches are there, some biosensors are there. They will track the heart rate, they will track the blood pressure of astronaut, they will track the oxygen level, and there is also continuous glucose monitoring that will check the glucose level in the blood sugar. So in blood, how sugar level is changing, that also get monitored with the help of this wearable health technology. Then there is lab on a chip technology. Now, it usually tests the infection. Astronauts are facing some infection, they are dealing with some diseases, genetic modification, manipulation that can be detected with the help of biotechnology. Then there is genomic and biomarker based monitoring. Now, what is this concept? DNA sequencing can get changed, can get altered in the space. Early disease detection, there are some biomarkers, and this biomarker can be detected with the help of biotechnology. There are some nanosensors. This sensor will detect diseases like infections, cancer. At the same time, there are some electronic tattoos and smart skin patches. Now, they will monitor or they will check the water level, nutrient level in the astronaut. So, biotechnology is playing very significant role. Then, bioengineering for space travel. One is genetic modification for astronaut. So, here we are going to start genetic modification. Simple concept is there, just listen carefully. Astronauts, before going for the space, they are going to expose in the condition that might be present in the space. Again, I am repeating, this whole topic deals with astronaut before visiting the ISS, that is International Space Station. They are getting exposed with certain condition that might be present in the space. Like they will be exposed with radiation. Astronaut will get exposed in the microgravity condition. They will provide limited resources. And in short, we are making them ready for the visit. Simple term is there. We are just preparing their body, how they will going to face in the space. So one is radiation resistance. Some gene editing technique. We are going to insert some genes that might be helpful for their survival in the space. Second is bone and muscle preservation. We are going to inject some gene like myostatin gene is there that could help astronaut to maintain the muscle mass in the space. What we are going to do? On Earth, astronauts are exposed to extreme condition that might be present in the space. Then third is hypoxia and metabolic adaptation. Like we are going to enhance or increase the oxygen utilization. Then hibernation like state. Astronaut will face some condition that might slow down their metabolism. And if metabolism goes slow down, then it will reduce the need for food and oxygen. So for long-term mission, usually all these conditions astronaut used to get exposed before visiting the ISS. Then immune system strengthening is there. Astronauts will get microbial symbiotic insertions where they will enhance their, or we will boost up their immunity. Autoimmune regulation. Autoimmune is nothing but their own immune system we have to enhance. The next is microbial bioengineering for resource generation. We are going to enhance the ability, enhance the production of food, oxygen, and material. So, with the help of microorganism like cyanobacteria, algae, in space, we can produce oxygen, we can remove CO2, we can produce our own food, like edible microbes are there. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Escherichia coli, these are the microorganisms that carry essential nutrient. So at what they will do? They will eat these microorganisms as a food source. Then fungal bioreactor. Fungus, like we all know mushroom. Mushroom is nothing but fungus, and we all know that it is high in protein. So this fungus, it will get utilized by the astronaut as a food resource. Then manufacturing of biomaterial, like we have studied, microorganism can form the biodegradable plastic. Biodegradable means that can be easily degradable with the help of microorganism. And after that, water purification and water recycling. In the space, whatever waste is generated, whatever waste is going to produce, it can get recycled and we can get useful product from them. Water can be purified and reused in the space with the help of microorganism. And last is future of life in the universe. So, like life is very beautiful, very beautifully present in the earth, and in the universe, it has been observed that this life might be present. So in the exoplanets, in the habitability conditions, in the microbial life, this there might be the presence of certain formation. And moon and Mars colonization is the recent developmental scope where NASA, SpaceX, and other agencies aim to establish the human settlement on the moon and Mars. So there might be probability some humans can get settled, they can form colony on the moon and on the Mars. So now here I would like to end my topic. Thank you so much. So in conclusion, there are habitable zones we have studied, then we have studied extremophiles, we have studied space biotechnology, and we have studied how biotechnology is very helpful for the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Latika. This is very informative and very interesting topics that you have been just already discussed. Super amazing. And I think like our students have a lot of questions. I feel like also these sessions be something like various stimulations to provide in our future outreach and awareness even in India because of more than all the students over here in Sri Lankan students, but in near future. So definitely we are just continuing all the lectures to the Indian students also. So dear students, this is your time. And if you have any questions, now the session is open. Make sure to raise your hand. Then one by one, I will invite you to asking a question from our glorious scientist. Okay. I think I can see Savin. Yes, Savin. What is your question? You can ask from the Dr. Latika. Yeah.
Good afternoon, dear sir and madam. And just thank you for this wonderful lecture you've done.
Oh, thank you so much.
My first question is, like, have we ever gotten any signs of life in space?
You must have read about the presence of water molecules in the moon. Okay, so there might be presence of certain life, or might be formation of cell, or might be formation of life. So water is the basic compound that must be present. So if water is there, slowly evolution can occur. Like on Earth, first molecule whichever formed must be the water, and in presence of water we just get evolved, and now after so many years humans have been established. So there might be the presence of life.
Thanks. And my next question is,
Yes.
like, how did that NASA veggie experiment with the LEDs? How could like LEDs help a lot in like making vegetables?
Yes, that was that's what the evolution was. That was the research conducted via them. LED light. How food get synthesized in presence of sunlight. So we have to use that wavelength, and we have to incorporate that wavelength in the LED. In presence of LED, that plant will synthesize their own food that will absorb the sunlight, that will absorb the CO2, and after that there will be synthesis of veggies.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Zavin. And then I'm moving to the Sanket. Sanket, go ahead. What is your question?
Good evening, dear sir and madam.
Good evening.
First of all, I would like to thank the wonderful lecture of your madam.
Oh, thank you so much.
Madam, my question is like, what is biofilm?
Okay. Biofilm is the layer that is formed because of microorganism. Bio means biological compound. Here, bio means microorganism, and microorganism will form a layer on the space surface. That is the biofilm.
Okay, madam, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Sanket, then I'm moving to the Aviradha. Yes, Aviradha, make sure to switch on your microphone and you can just ask your question.
What does CRISPR stand for?
What?
CRISPR? It's some sort of name for DNA editing, I think.
CRISPR. Okay, CRISPR. CRISPR. CRISPR is a gene. This gene enhances the genetic metabolism. This is the type of gene. Our whole body is formed because of cell, and in cell this gene is present. Gene is the fragment of DNA, and this gene enhances the metabolic ability. CRISPR.
Okay. Aviradha, have you? Okay. Welcome. And then I'm moving to the Sasmika. Sasmika, yes, go ahead. Ask your question.
Yes, Asmika.
Yeah, Sasmika, you can just switch on your microphone. You are still mute. Then you can just ask your question. So dear student, if it is any other students have any question, please raise your hand. I feel like Sasmika has some network issue, but no issue. So we will wait. And so by the way, Latika, I do have one simple question.
Okay.
And what do you think while we are just doing such a space harvesting, what will be the most sustainable method like aeroponic or hydroponic?
Okay, it depends on the availability. Aeroponic is modified version of hydroponic. So if water is not that much available, we will shift to aeroponic. So first is genetically modified crop. After that, genetically modified crop requires soil. After that, there was modified version of GMOs, that is genetically modified crop, that is hydroponic. And hydroponic get further modified into aeroponic. So aeroponic is more suitable.
Thank you very much. I feel like this is gonna be important to even our student also. I noticed few times some of students in even the previous group asking some similar question from me. Today you have expertise here.
Oh, that's very nice.
Again, I seen Sanket. Do you have still another question? see you are raising your hand, Sankit.
No, sir, I didn't raise my hand.
Okay, okay.
Sometimes
I
it would
see.
be technical issue.
Okay, it's okay, Sankit. I'm moving to the Rukshani. You can just ask your question. Go ahead.
Hello, sir and madam, and thank you, madam, for your lecture. Uh, I want to ask what is biofabrication and how can we use it to develop our life in space?
What is?
Biofabrication.
Okay. Now, biofabrication is the branch of biotechnology itself, and that is useful for the formation of biologically functional products. So we can synthesize the biological product with the use of raw material. So raw material might be cells, raw material might be cell component or molecule, and with the help of this molecule, we can make or we can produce another biomolecule. That is nothing but biofabrication. So it is the field of biotechnology itself.
Okay, madam,
This is
thank you.
a recent field.
Okay, after the Rukshani, I'm moving to the Sasmika. Yeah, I think like now you can just unmute your mic and ask him your question. Go ahead.
Good evening, madam. And sir, thank you for the lecture. I have a question. You say that gravity affected the genes, right?
Yes.
When we colonize Mars, the Mars gravity is compared to Earth is very low.
Yes.
Does it affected in a gene mutation?
Yes, that can cause the gene mutation as well, and that's why astronauts are going to adopt themselves before visiting the ISS.
Thank you.
Yes.
Does it happen in a physical way or just in the inside organical way? In our
Both. Like I mentioned, all the aspects are there. Like there might be change in the muscle, there might be change in the neurological development, there might be change in the genetic modification, there might be change in the behavioral aspect as well. So it might be internal or external.
Okay. So there are different species than the humans.
What?
When it goes to the humans have genetically mutated in the Mars. So
Yes.
are there different species now?
No. Species will not change. If we are talking about the astronaut or human being, species will be same one. Like recent example we can take from the COVID. During COVID, we got exposed to COVID virus, and now our gene showed some modification manipulations. So we are still humans, but this evolution is going on. This modification is going on. So it will not be a drastic change that will alter the human species. It will be a minute change.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, after Sasmika, I'm moving to the Joanna.
Yes.
Thank you for the lecture. It was very interesting and I really
Awesome.
enjoyed it.
Yes.
My question is, are there any precautions that are taken in order to minimize the effects of microgravity in the human body?
Yes. We will expose astronaut with certain microbial species. We will expose astronaut to the condition that might be present in the space. So our body will respond accordingly. We will inject astronaut with certain gene that will help their body for the autoimmune system.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, then I'm moving to the Kinod. Kinod, you can just switch on your microphone.
Thank you for the interesting lecture, madam.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, madam and sir. My question is, if we use space medicine on Earth and not in space, what would happen?
Space medicine that is synthesized in space.
Yes, if we brought it back to Earth
Okay.
and used it, what would happen?
Yes, very interesting question. But that will be prepare or synthesize in the space. We have to study in our environment. We have to study in our atmospheric condition. We have to study in the research laboratory in the pilot scale. And after that, we will study on the animals. And after that, it will, on the basis of the response, we will further continue our research and we will inject to the humans as well, if they are beneficial. So there are certain protocol, there are certain parameters that might be helpful in the space, but that might change the behavior, that might change the properties when they will inject in the earth or earth atmospheric condition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kinath. And also, Latika, I would like to add something with my experience, what Kinath does. Like even some of Sri Lankan and Indian medicines, sometimes while using at the MDRs, Utah and some Arctic polar region. So sometimes I felt these are not that much respond while I was at the like South Asian region. It's completely different. Even that while we are just changing the some regions wise.
Yes.
Of the
Because yes, some genetic development is area on based on the area or location. So how humans respond that completely differ from location to location.
Yeah, exactly right. I
Yes.
think. Okay, then again, I'm moving to the Aviradha. Aviradha, still you have another question?
Actually, I have two questions.
Yes.
Please.
And the first question is, after the astronauts are like modified by putting things into them, after they come back, is it possible to remove them, and will it get to their next generation, like their children?
Yes. If that particular thing, normally we will not see. There are two types of cell. One is somatic and one is gametic. Okay. These all activities are done on the somatic level. Somatic level will not transfer their trait in next generation. If we deal with the gametic level, then only they will transfer to the next generation. So all the experiments are going to be performed in the somatic cell only. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. Second
Okay.
question.
The second question is all of the person's DNA strand connected and coiled up inside their body in some places, or are they like separated in like many different strand pieces and coiled up inside in things like miniature tablets?
Can you please repeat the question?
Are all of the humans' genes the strands? They're strands, right?
Yes, genes, genetic strand, DNA strand.
All of the DNA strands connected and coiled up inside a human's body, a human person's body?
Okay.
Or are they in different pieces and inside like miniature tablets?
Okay.
Things like that.
See, now we four are on the screen, okay? Are we showing some similarity? No, we are completely different, okay? But if we study or do the research, our DNA is 99.99% same. It is the intact DNA, okay? This DNA is still showing some dissimilarity. 0.1% of this DNA is responsible for this huge change. We are all are completely different, okay? So this DNA is having some parts, like there is some structural fragment that is called a gene, and this gene is responsible for the activities. So structural fragment is gene, and this gene will respond accordingly.
Actually, even though the difference of DNA is really small in the
0.1%
percentages,
only. 0.1% only. Yes.
it's still a really long strand of DNA, right?
Yes.
If all of the DNA strands were connected together, it would reach from the sun to Pluto, Pluto to sun, and that 13 times.
Yes, all DNA if you are talking about, and one DNA in one cell that measure about 2 meters.
Wow.
Yes, one cell is microscopic. It might be microscopic, but that microscopic cell is having 2 meters of DNA that is coiled like this.
Are they like having a male, the father's DNA part and the mother's DNA
Mother's
part?
DNA part, both will get. This is what I said, gametic cell. So mother cell and father cell, egg cell and sperm cell, they will get combined, and there must be maintenance of the chromosome number as well. It is tightly packed into chromosome, and then this 2 meter DNA, it is packed in chromosome. This chromosome is packed in nucleus, and nucleus is present in the cell. This is the structure of DNA. Yes.
Thank you for your lecture and thank you for answering my questions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You are so sweet.
Okay, Aviradha, it is very interesting discussion. And furthermore, dear student, is there any questions? I feel like this is super curious on today because of this is very interesting sessions. And the Latika, what do you think about your audience? And the question.
Oh, they are so sweet. Firstly, they are so sweet. They are so active, and they are so prompt to the topic, and they are having a lot of curiosity. Hats off to them. This 1 hour 30-minute session, and still they are having that curiosity. Still they are having that eagerness, that enthusiasm, and that is very appreciable.
Yeah, thank you for that. I feel like these students are really curious and they are waiting for something new all the time. That's why we also trying to do such outreach work and awareness for them.
It's my pleasure. Actually, it's my pleasure.
And again, I think like dear students, do you have any question? If there is no question, please drop into our WhatsApp group. Then I can just share it the other dearest.
Yes, I'm ready to answer. And if you want our presentation, I will send it to you.
Yeah, that's gonna be really important to even the some of students. This is very informative too while they are just go through with any kind of research. So this is very nice summarize. Okay, then yeah, Dr. Latika, thank you very much for.
Okay, thank you, Arvinda, for your support and for your all-time efforts that you are going to do for such meaningful approach. Really hats off to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much again, and definitely I will just update if it is any future activities which is available. And I believe like there are a lot of works are ongoing on India. I appreciate your cooperations in here, dear students. For today, we are going to wind up the sessions, and good night for the India.
Good night, students.
Good morning, other regions. Okay, see you soon.